Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Greater Houston Partnership's 2014 State of the City Address. Please rise for the presentation of colors by the Houston Police Department Color Guard and the singing of our national anthem, performed by the Children's Choir of Travis Elementary School, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Sergeant First Class Nancy Lee.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for a short prayer led by Father Salvatore DeGeorge of St. Patrick's Catholic Church.
Good afternoon. We ask a blessing together. It is written that the people without a vision perish. As children of a gracious Creator, we stand in this truth, and as we look at one another's faces and all of our differences and diversity, we realize that we're looking upon brothers and sisters. We, on this beautiful morning, or this beautiful afternoon now, ask a blessing on all the people working out their lives together on the holy ground, bathed in richness and opportunity, that is the city of Houston. Bless especially those that merit special attention and a special place in our hearts and attention, those that are in need of special care and special protection. Bless our good Mayor, Anise Parker, and her staff. As they articulate this vision and lead us on our journey. Bless her partner and good family, who provide a loving and sustaining safe harbor where her energy is renewed and her vision is kept in focus. And bless Houston, that it become truly holy ground where her ever more diverse and wild and woolly get-ahead children learn that the only safe and blessed way to walk is side by side with sisters and brothers in justice and in fairness and a deep respect for the difference, and ever with a watchful eye on the small and the broken. Now we ask all of this through our ever gracious and loving parent God, who calls out to us and leads us with great love. And we ask this blessing together in God's name, and we say, so be it, And we respond, Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the President and CEO of the Greater Houston Partnership, Bob Harvey.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Please take your seats. Good afternoon. I'm Bob Harvey, the President and CEO of the Greater Houston Partnership, and it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to the Partnership's annual State of the City Luncheon featuring the Honorable Mayor Anise Parker. If you'll take your seats, we'll get the program underway. Please join me in thanking the Houston Police Department Color Guard for presenting the colors, Sergeant First Class Nancy Lee for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, the choir from Travis Elementary School for singing our national anthem, and Father Salvatore DeGeorge from St. Patrick's Catholic Church for providing today's invocation. Thank you all for participating in today's program. Let me just say we have a great turnout for today's lunch. I appreciate all of you being here. I'd like to say just a few words, and then we will break for lunch. Let me just remind you that the Greater Houston Partnership works to make Houston one of the world's best places to live, work, and build a business. Over the past 25 years, working with and on behalf of the Houston business community, we've tackled the region's most pressing issues. Our scope encompasses the 10-county Greater Houston region, anchored, of course, by our great city of Houston. While we're all here today, of course, is because we all care about Houston. And whether or not we live or do business in Houston, in the city proper, the economic health and vitality of the city drives the health and vitality of the entire region. As we discussed at our annual meeting in February, the partnership has defined a list of key priorities in an intentional fashion. And as you may imagine, many of these priorities are connected to city government. Let me just take a minute this morning, and I know you're taking your seats. I see it happening. Let me just take a minute this morning and mention one of those priorities in particular. Transportation has emerged as a major issue, the result of our outstanding growth over the last several years. But congestion on our streets and highways, combined with our limited reach of transit, is a challenge for all of us. And I know this is on the mayor's radar, as it is that of Judge Emmett and other elected officials. Resolving this issue is going to take resources, more resources than we currently have allocated to transportation in the state. And at the state level, it'll mean directing funds to highways, a process that will begin in earnest with a vote this fall on a constitutional amendment that will increase highway funding by $1.2 billion or more a year. At the city level, it will mean ensuring that the city is as efficient as possible so that more funds are available to improve city streets. And it means keeping the focus of city government on the things that matter most to all Houstonians: roads, police and fire, drainage, parks, and other essential services. In all of these matters and in many others I haven't mentioned, Mayor Parker and her team at City Hall are key partners with the business community, and we're delighted to have Mayor Parker here with us today, and we're eager to hear her priorities for the coming year. Before we continue, I'd like to take a moment to recognize those that have made today's event possible. So please turn your attention to the screens behind me for a brief video acknowledging the sponsors for today's event.
Ladies and gentlemen, the generous support of our members is essential to the success of the Greater Houston Partnership and allows us to continue our work of making Houston one of the world's best places to live, work, and build a business. Please join me in thanking today's State of the City major sponsors, BBVA Compass, Chevron, Comcast, and Southwest Airlines. Today's State of the City gold level sponsors, CH2M Hill, Clear Channel Outdoor, Dannenbaum Engineering Corporation, ExxonMobil Corporation, HEB, Linebarger, Gogan, Blair & Sampson, LLP, Pierpont Communications, Inc., Shell Oil Company, and Texas Capital Bank. Our State of the City silver level sponsors, AECOM, AIG, Amagi Bank, Andrews Kurth, LLP, Arab Texas, Inc., Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas, BNSF Railway, Bracewell and Giuliani, LLP, Bud Light, Silver Eagle Distributors, Centerpoint Energy, Cigna, Direct Energy, HDR Engineering, Inc., Houston Association of Realtors, Houston Contractors Association, HVJ Associates, Kroger, Lock Lord, Norton Rose Fulbright, Odebrecht Environmental, Brascom, PKF Texas, Port of Houston Authority, Traffic Engineers, Inc., TXU Energy, University of Houston, UT Health, Wells Fargo, and WINSTEAD PC. Our networking cafe sponsor, Reliant, an NRG company. Our supporting organization, Houston Airport System. Also thanks to our staging partner, JSAV, and our production partner since 2006, Vision Production Group. Please join us in thanking all of our sponsors for their continued support of the Greater Houston Partnership.
Good afternoon, everyone. If I can have your attention, please. It's time to continue with the program. My name is Carrick Henney, and I'm the chairman of the Greater Houston Partnership Government Relation Advisory Committee. I'm also a proud Houstonian and a member of the Partnership's Executive Committee, Policy Steering Committee, and Board of Directors. It's my pleasure to be with all of you today to introduce the elected officials who are joining us for Partnership's annual State of the City event. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's also our plan to make sure we acknowledge all of our elected officials at the local, state, and federal level. All of you are our partners and play a key role in Houston's success, and I would like you to stand to be recognized. I'll be sure to read everyone's name on the list, and I will ask the audience to help by saving your applause until I call the final name. Do we have a deal? Wonderful. I'll take that as a yes. It's now my pleasure to recognize our special guests, Houston's elite elected officials. Statewide elected officials, Judge Wesley Ward, 234th District Court. State Senator Sylvia Garcia. State Senator John Whitmire. State Representative Alma Allen, Sarah Davis, Boris Miles, Rick Miller. State Representative Sylvester Turner, Jean Wu. Harris County Commissioners Jack Cagle, Vince Ryan, Orlando Sanchez, Chris Daniel. Constable Precinct 1, Alan Rosen. Constable Precinct 2, Christopher Diaz. Precinct 1, David Patronella, Regional Water Authority. City of Houston Controller Ronald Green, Brenda Stardick, Jerry Davis, Ellen Cohen, Dwight Boykins, Dave Martin, Robert Gallegos, Mike Laster, Larry Green, Stephen Costello, David Robinson, Michael Kubash, C.O. Brad Bradford, and Jack Christie. Regional city mayors with us today, Phil Norrett, Mayor of Bel Air, Thomas Cockendall, Fusher, Tom Reed, Pearland, Vincent Morales Jr., Rosenberg, Sugarland, Harish Jaju, District 4, Joe Zimmerman, at large, 2, additional regional city council members, Amanda Borin, Clear Lake Shores. Leaf ISD Board Trustee, Tiffany Thomas. Houston ISD Trustee, Wanda Adams. Port of Houston Commissioners, Janice Longoria, Chairman. Dean Corgi, and Theldon R. Branch III. Metro Board of Directors, the Honorable Dwight Jefferson. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in acknowledging Houston's elected officials. Another group of individuals who are critical to our mission at the partnership is the Houston Consular Corps. Would all members of the Consular Corps please stand? We're joined today by representatives from Belarus, Hungary, Korea, Pakistan, Switzerland, Turkey. Thank you for your continued support of GHP in the Houston region. I would also like to acknowledge all board members of the Greater Houston Partnership who are here with us today. Please stand so we may acknowledge you. Now it's my great pleasure to introduce a colleague who also embodies the Houston spirit, Gina Luna, Chairman of J.P. Morgan Chase in the Houston region and Chief Executive Officer of Middle Market Banking. Gina also serves as Vice Chairman of the Greater Houston Partnership. She is someone who brings an enormous amount of energy to GHP and is sincere day in and day out as she works with the GHP team and in the community to build a better Houston. In 2013, she played a critical role in launching the partnership's Regional Workforce Development Task Force, which will help ensure that the business sector can employ young Houstonians in mid and high-skilled jobs. Please join me in welcoming Gina Luna.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Carrick, for that warm introduction. I'm proud to be the incoming chair of the Greater Houston Partnership, and I'm excited to have all of you join us today for the annual State of the City. Since its founding back in 1840, the Houston Chamber of Commerce, and now its successor, the Greater Houston Partnership, have been at the forefront of driving our region forward, and the City of Houston has been our partner all along the way. From its inception, the Chamber of Commerce, along with the city, worked to improve the navigation of the Buffalo Bayou. The Chamber called on Congress and offered to match all federal funds, dollar for dollar, to help fund channel improvements. Considering the Port of Houston is now the top exporting port in the nation and a driver of our economy, I consider that a wise investment. Throughout our history, the partnership and the Houston business community have enjoyed a long-standing, effective relationship with the mayor's office across many administrations. One of the key priorities of the partnership and the City of Houston share is economic development. Over the years, we've worked closely together to bring jobs and prosperity to Houston. Most recently, Mayor Parker and the partnership led a trade mission to South Africa to promote Houston as a top destination for foreign investment. It's these kinds of positive working relationships between public and private entities that have propelled Houston to the list of great global cities. Speaking of global ambitions, another major project of the Chamber was George Bush Intercontinental Airport. In 1948, the local chamber began advocating for an international airport to serve the budding metropolis. Today, Intercontinental is one of the largest airports in the United States and continues to expand. In just the last 12 months, the partnership has supported the Houston Airport System's effort to land new nonstop international routes, including Air China to Beijing, Turkish Airlines to Istanbul, and Korean Airlines to Seoul. These linkages are critical to elevating Houston on the global stage. We've also partnered with the Mayor's Office on quality of life issues, including the formation of the Houston-Harris County Sports Authority, which led to the construction of Minute Maid Park, Reliant Stadium, or shall I say NRG Stadium, along with the Toyota Center and BBVA Compass Stadium. We've collaborated with the city on improvements to our bayous and green space, a keen focus for Mayor Parker. This last year, I had the pleasure to serve as co-chair of the partnership's Regional Workforce Development Task Force, along with Bruce Culpepper from Shell Oil. It has brought together top executives from our key sectors, as well as leaders from our community colleges, school districts, employment firms, training, and social service organizations, 79 people in all, to confront the shortage of trained workers to fill middle-skilled jobs in the region. Mayor Parker has been a strong supporter of this effort, and we look forward to rolling out our action plan in the coming weeks. All that being said, the relationship between Houston's business community and the City of Houston has been critical to the region's success. I believe the city's strength truly stems from this willingness to work together to create a great city. We've been blessed with strong and able leaders with a great vision to continue the work the Allen brothers started more than 177 years ago. The partnership looks forward to working with Mayor Parker throughout the remainder of her term to make Houston one of the world's best places to live, work, and build a business. And now, it's my pleasure to introduce Bob Borokoff to the stage, who will introduce the Honorable Mayor Anise Parker.
Good afternoon. First, I would like to say that it's always, I think the hardest job at these events is introducing the elected officials, at least for me, because in the past I could never pronounce their names right and I always forgot somebody. There were two people that Carrick was not told are here, so I want to welcome State Representative Sempronia Thompson, fondly known as Ms. T, and our new council member, Nguyen. Welcome. I'm honored that Mayor Parker asked me to introduce her today. I first met Anise Parker in 1996 when she came to my office and asked me to support her in a Houston City Council race. I was very impressed with her. We spent some time together, but the main thing that I remember about that conversation was that when I asked her how she was going to win and expressed some doubt as to whether or not she would, her reply was, "Watch me." Well, I've been watching her. I've watched Anise Parker win 3 consecutive city council races. I've watched her win 3 consecutive city controller races and 3 consecutive mayoral races. Each time people questioned whether she could do that, and each time she responded, "Watch me." I'm a restaurateur. Everyone that knows me knows that I sell a lot of fajitas and the best margaritas in Houston at CAFÉ Adobe. And there was no way I was going to leave that out. But what that means is that Mayor Parker and I have worked together for a little over 18 years on a variety of issues: health department issues, parking ordinances, wage issues, airport contracts, and many more. Sometimes, more than once, we disagreed. Many, many times we agreed. Far more times we agreed than we disagreed. But we always worked together, and we always ended up in a place of respect, cooperation, and friendship. Anise Parker is my friend. I have found her willing to listen, discuss, and negotiate on every issue. She's a reasonable person. Anise Parker is known for one thing that I think all of the people here that know her would agree on: she has integrity. And her integrity is one of the things that I most admire about her. She's taken on some very big issues, some of which have been mentioned already during her tenure at City Hall. She's balanced the city's budget, She's created jobs and she's helped businesses through innovative programs like Hire Houston First and Tweet My Jobs. Really large effort she made changed the way that we pay for the city's infrastructure. She's brought direct flights from Houston to cities all over the world. But she's also done things like demolished dangerous buildings that damaged neighborhoods' property values, and she's worked on recycling. Maybe most importantly, she's made a significant, really significant difference in ending homelessness, particularly in the last 2 years. And it's really not a wonder that Time magazine named her one of the 100 most influential people in America. Anise has done other things that don't get a lot of publicity, and I'm very proud that I know about some of those. My oldest son is 28 years old, and he's physically and mentally challenged. Because of my son, I have become very active in helping people like him and other persons with disabilities. I spend a lot of my personal time volunteering to help because that's close to my heart and my family. I have witnessed firsthand the support that Mayor Parker has given to small nonprofits that help people who cannot help themselves. These individuals don't have lobbyists and they don't have money. Often because of their disabilities, they can't even speak to articulate the plight that they have to face each day. Sometimes people like my son have no opportunity in life, and sometimes somebody has to take care of them for the majority of their lives because they simply can't earn a living. When their parent or their family member dies, they become wards of the state or they become homeless. They're usually the poorest of the poor in our community, and to many people, they're just invisible. Mayor Parker has supported several of the organizations that help people like this, one in particular that I too have supported. She's never touted this publicly. She's never bragged about it. She's given this support in spite of the fact that there's really no political gain, because very few of these people have the ability to advocate for themselves, and they're not a large enough group to make a big difference politically. I respect her immensely for that, and sometimes she's had to work very hard to fund these groups with very limited funds. And I admire her for that, and I want to publicly thank her. Those that know me have been kidding me today. I don't know how I bring that on myself. I promised Denise that I wouldn't say the first thing that I wanted to say, so I want to just tell you something that I routinely tell people. I've often said that Anise Parker does not do what she says she is going to do. She always does a little more. I look forward to hearing the state of the city today, and I look forward to hearing her plans for her third and final term in office. And all I can say to all of you is, watch her. It's my great honor to welcome to the stage Mayor Anise Parker.
Thank you, Bob. Except you're not supposed to make my mascara run before I get up here. But thank you for the introduction. I appreciate it very much. And I do think it is important before I start today for each of us, all of us, to take a moment to acknowledge the really tragic shooting in Fort Hood that, again, men and women who have served us honorably in positions of danger in wartime or in war conditions come back, and they're not safe here in America. And I know many in this room have served, and many of us have relatives, friends who serve, and it is a national shame that something like that could happen. Okay, how do I segue from that? I do love this city. I continue to really enjoy going to work every day. And I suspect that most of you love this city just as much as I do. We have one of the most exciting, thank you, absolutely. One of the most exciting, vibrant, alive cities anywhere, not just in America, but anywhere. And I'm happy that so many of my fellow public officials have decided to be here today. I want to acknowledge that we have almost every council member. We have a couple of council members who are out of town, but I think I have almost every council member here. Many other local elected officials, partners from Harris County. We have a wealth of talent that represents us at all levels of government. And as we continue to improve our relationships across these levels of government, I want to thank all of my colleagues who have chosen to spend time today. And there are also a number of city staff who are here. And so I'm going to ask that anyone who, both my council members and City Controller Ronald Green, I know I saw the Controller, if the city staff, city employees, city elected officials would rise, please. I think we should acknowledge you for what you do. Thank you. And I just want to touch on something. I was here last night. I spend way too much time in this hotel. But last night we celebrated the 10th anniversary of this wonderful city-owned hotel. Sometimes we do get it right. And we absolutely got it right here with the Hilton Americas. Obviously, it's easier to stand before you this year than it was for the first time 4 years ago. We've come very far from that extremely tough first term. And the city of Houston is on a trajectory that I would submit no other city in America could match. In 2010 seems like a lifetime ago, and yet it also seems like just yesterday. So much has been accomplished, both within city government and across our business sector, that we need to take a moment and acknowledge some of the things that have happened. You know, each day, each of us strives to help build the best Houston it can possibly be. And last year, I spent some time talking about all the best of rankings that Houston kept popping up on. Well, we haven't stopped. We continue to find ourselves in the best of cities category, one of the best cities in which to find a job. And a surprise for a lot of Houstonians, we were recently named one of the most walkable cities. Some of us are on the million-pound challenge, too, and so we need that walkable city. We're a top city for global trade. We have the best domestic airport. And one ranking even has us as the best city in America, which, of course, we all already knew. The progress we've made and continue to make allows me to once again proclaim the state of our city is strong, and our strength is increasing every day. The problems that confront us have been identified, but the opportunities that await us have been magnified. In January, I took the oath of office for the third and final time. Due to how well we are doing, it might seem as if it would be easy to just coast on out for the next 2 years. It's not how I'm wired. Just watch me, Bob. We won't stop. We won't slow down. We won't rest, because there is too much left to accomplish in this city. And of course, I fully realize, as I know you do, that cities are never finished. And a city like Houston is in a constant state of change and motion. I'm going to speak a little bit today about where we're going, but I want to recap where we've been to set the stage. We are rebuilding this city, growing our economy, creating a firm financial foundation, maintaining the lowest per capita crime rate in the city's history, improving our parks, cleaning up our neighborhoods. Yes, our roads are in terrible shape. In fact, there are some streets in Houston that are in embarrassing shape. And I absolutely wish that the full benefit of Rebuild Houston could come faster. I literally wish it could come in my term of office. But we are reprogramming as many dollars as possible into repair, and there are no quick fixes for decades of deferred maintenance. We've made the right choices. We're moving in the right direction. We will get there. We will do it. Our pension challenges also were years in the making, and I am moving every lever possible to fix them. We're not just talking about it, we are doing it. In the last 4 years, the Houston region, and Gina did a great job with this, the Houston region has created more than 364,000 jobs, exported approximately $470 billion in goods through our customs district, and issued permits for the construction of nearly 108,000 single-family homes. Houston has led the nation in export growth for 2 consecutive years and has led the nation in housing permits for 4 years in a row. We are a powerful economic engine in a powerful and growing region. This growing economy is spurring actually quite a bit of a building boom. The numbers are impressive. In our major business centers, Uptown, the Energy Corridor, West Chase, Midtown, Downtown, there are more than 100 major projects underway with projected capital investment of $7.5 billion. About half of these projects are high-rises. We're also seeing some extraordinary growth opportunities for our airports. And in the past year, ground was broken on the new international terminal at Hobby Airport. In less than a year's time, Intercontinental has also grown, though. We have marked or announced the arrival of Korean Airlines, Turkish Airlines, Air China. And the amazing thing about those 3 new nonstop flights is that all of those airlines increased the number of flights before they ever took off for the first time. The market is that robust. And of course, just this week, we learned that Scandinavian Airlines is now launching a nonstop service to Stavanger, Norway. We are doing it. And in fact, if you're looking for a job, might be a good time to tweet about it at Tweet My Jobs Houston, because we are doing that as well. Of course, another big win since the last State of the City was the news that the Super Bowl in 2017 is coming to Houston. The game didn't start these projects, but the game gives a focal point for completing already planned improvements here in the Central Business District, including next week's groundbreaking for the Marriott Marquis on the other side of Discovery Green, Houston's second convention center hotel. There are 3 more hotels, 4 major residential projects underway in the vicinity. We'll break ground this fall on the Now Center for Texas Cultural Heritage, a state-of-the-art visitor center for the hugely untapped market we have here for heritage tourism. All eyes may be on 2017, but we were already doing it. We're rebuilding our infrastructure. I mentioned Rebuild Houston earlier. Since the Rebuild Houston program was implemented, $250 million of your dollars have been spent improving streets and drainage. 87 projects have been completed, 450 miles of street have been rebuilt or paved, 557 miles of ditches have been regraded, 131 miles of storm sewer line have been cleaned. There's more to come. In 2014, more than 200 projects will begin construction or advanced to completion. As a result of our transformative new approach for Houston streets, the needs of all users will be accommodated as we grow. It doesn't mean that we will become a complete street city overnight, but as we do these new projects, the Complete Streets and Transportation Plan will ensure accessible, convenient use by motorists, public transit riders, pedestrians, people of all abilities, and bicyclists. We are doing it. We're also improving the science and restoring public confidence in our efforts to catch criminals and protect the innocent. 2 years ago, I promised Houstonians we would fix the issues that have plagued the Houston Police Department's crime lab. Today, I'm going to announce this formally, today, the Houston Forensic Science Center becomes independent of HPD's crime lab operations. From the start, my goal has been independence. A crime lab independent of police, independent of prosecutors, and independent of political influence. We started down this path. Today, we completed it. And our independent model has provoked interest from across the United States. We don't just talk about it, we are doing it. And we've also kept the promise to eliminate the backlog of untested sexual assault kits. As of today, I'm able to report that testing is nearing completion on the 6,600 untested kits that have been sitting in storage dating back to 1987. This backlog was a terrible miscarriage of our responsibility to thousands of rape survivors. It should never have happened. And everybody in the room knows it is not in my DNA to ignore a problem. It took me a little while to get there, but this is a problem that is almost solved. And this is a problem that will never happen again. So, join me in saying, we are doing it. Last month, Harris County Judge Ed Emmett gave his State of the County speech, and he suggested that more cooperation between the city and the county would be beneficial. I couldn't agree more. But I want to remind everyone that there is already a high level of cooperation and coordination between the City of Houston and Harris County. We already operate joint libraries. We operate shared parks. In fact, Commissioner Raddick has signed long-term interlocal agreements to operate and maintain 6 city parks. Commissioner Cagle is here, and he is eagerly trying to connect his much-loved trail system to the City of Houston's bio-greenway system. Likewise, we have divided responsibilities between our health department and various county agencies to protect public health. And the Houston Housing Authority and the Harris County Housing Authority are working together for the first time. These are all good things, but it is in the area of law enforcement that we are making the most progress. The Harris County Sheriff's Office now has the ability to use our innovative sobering center as an alternative to jail for people detained for public intoxication, saving dollars, getting county deputies back out on the street faster, and providing an opportunity for intervention for those who want it in the sobering center. It is a wonderful program, and I hope you all take the time to find out a little more about it. We are also, thanks to those of you who are voters here in Harris County, working together on the construction of a joint processing center for the county jail. This will finally allow the city to close its obsolete jail, and at a great cost savings, I might add, for the City of Houston, but it will also allow a more humane solution for our prisoners that currently today are double booked and overhandled by our 2 separate jail systems. We've been trying to forge this type of an agreement for probably 3 decades. We are doing it now. I mentioned the crime lab earlier. It is today fully independent of the police department and through its LGC board, fully independent of the City of Houston, absent an annual vote by City Council to approve their budget. We are open to the idea of a crime lab consolidation, but the decision for that consolidation will be led by the Houston Forensic Science Center Board, and I want to thank Chairman Scott Hochberg for his engagement and the tremendous number of hours he has put into this effort. We're also pursuing opportunities for consolidation elsewhere, including whether to merge the Metro Police under the Houston Police Department's umbrella. Over the decades, the Houston Police Department has absorbed what were the independent park police and the independent airport police. I believe it is time to determine whether we can begin to bring some of the smaller police agencies, starting with the Metro Police, into our orbit. And I appreciate Metro's engagement and the work of the Houston Police Officers Union as we continue these conversations. So that's looking back. It's no wonder I wanted to look back, because it's a great record. But let's talk about the final 2 years. With all of the things that we've accomplished, what's left to do? Well, finished what we've started in many of these areas with a few important additions. We will continue to solidify Houston's reputation as a green city. I have committed to reducing the City of Houston's greenhouse gas emissions by another 10%, for a total reduction of 36% since 2007. Our achievement is impressive, but we're not going to stop there. We will continue to work to find energy efficiencies and opportunities to leverage the private sector's engagement in reducing greenhouse gas emissions. We will expand the privately funded, I like that word, anybody who's listening, privately funded Houston Bike Share, and I have committed funds for a comprehensive bikeway plan. I am committed to increasing cycling safety. The new Safe Passage ordinance requires a 3-foot buffer between motorists and cyclists, and HPD is stepping up enforcement, and I trust we will see an impact out in the community. Now, expanding our cycling infrastructure will help even more. Some of that will be accomplished through the BioGreenway initiative, but there are other things we're doing as well. And I invite everyone in the room to come out on White Oak this Sunday for our Sunday Streets experiment, where we shut a city street and convince people that you too can enjoy walking, blading, riding a bicycle, and seeing your neighborhood in a different way. And in fact, if you want to find out more opportunities to do those kinds of fun and engaging activities, you might check out our Houston Living app that we did in partnership with the Houston Association of Realtors. There's some realtors in the room, clearly. Being a green city also means paying attention to our tree canopy. We will continue to replant from the drought, but it's not just about replanting. It's one thing when a tree dies because of natural conditions. It is another thing when a developer takes out a tree that is in the public right-of-way and belongs to all of us. We're not going to tolerate the destruction of our street trees. Those who think they can get away with it by doing it on the weekends, at night, need to think again. The city attorney has achieved some really eye-popping settlements lately in the 6 figures. If you think a massive oak tree isn't worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, I'd love to see you in court. We will be serious about that one. Development is underway on a cultural plan that will serve as a roadmap for the arts and solidify Houston's reputation as a global arts destination. This will be the first update of what is an existing cultural plan. It was crafted more than 20 years ago. Also, the first general plan in Houston's history is also being developed. And the Houston Parks Department is in the process of preparing a new master plan to provide a better roadmap for developing park space. I say this outside of Houston all the time. No zoning doesn't mean no planning. We are planning for the future, and we're doing it aggressively because the future is coming at us at a pace that no other city in America is experiencing. When coupled with improvements at Emancipation Park and Moody Park, the Bio Greenway Initiative, and the transformation of Buffalo Biopark, Houston will have a parks system that can meet the needs of residents for years to come and will be the envy of our peer cities across America. I hope you can say it with me now. We are doing it. And for those of you who have been uber excited about the new options for catching a lift in Houston, there will be new regulations in place to ensure both a fair market and user safety. I intend to place a set of new regulations that will allow our existing cabs to continue to prosper, but new entrants into the market to provide enhanced competition. And I look forward to a robust, that's the nice way to say it, a robust debate on providing new transportation options in Houston. I also still want to see modern regulation for food trucks. And as you can see and have seen over the years, I understand how to prioritize for emergencies, but also things don't drop off my list. And the list is still there for the next 2 years. And finally, I want to say that Houston will be home to a botanic garden, and I thank all of those who have been engaged in that debate as well. I hope to move that before council in the next few weeks. Let me talk about homelessness for just a minute, because that was mentioned in the introduction. Homelessness affects not just the individual who suffers that fate, but it affects the health of our entire community. Homelessness directly affects our economy, and frankly, whether homelessness is viewed through the eyes of someone who is homeless, a local resident, or a visiting tourist, having a large number of homeless men and women on the streets of Houston is a stain on the reality of Houston as a compassionate, can-do city. It's been 2 years since I announced the goal of ending chronic homelessness as a top priority of my administration. As of today, we have successfully placed more than 1,400 chronically homeless and at-risk individuals into safe and stable, permanent supportive housing. We started with veterans, as is only right. And in downtown Houston, we have cut the chronically homeless population by approximately 50%. This isn't about talking about homelessness. This isn't about arguing about homelessness. This is about men and women who need a path to a safe home and a safe haven, and our responsibilities in a rich and vibrant city to provide it. I'm going to introduce you to two people who are being helped by this effort. Alma has been homeless off and on for 15 years. She may not be what you think of when you think of the homeless. She completed 2 years of college. She worked as a secretary at a prestigious Houston law firm. But she lost her job 3 years ago, as many in our community did due to the economy, and she found herself homeless, spending many nights sleeping on the streets with, as she said, no one to help and no one to call. She recalls the generosity of other homeless individuals who would check to make sure that she was okay. In mid-January of this year, through My Homeless Initiative, she started working with case managers and is now scheduled to be placed in safe and stable housing with robust support services. When told of this, she fell to her knees and cried. There's also George. George is 55 years old. He was incarcerated for 32 years before being released in 2011, where he immediately became homeless. He was successfully housed in June of last year. He has earned welding and forklift certificates. He has transportation workers' identification credentials. He volunteers as a handyman at Search. He goes back to prison regularly, not as an inmate, but as a volunteer, ministering his positive message of rebirth and second chances. And yet he is still out of work. Perhaps he's the employee that you need. The City of Houston is an equal opportunity employer, and we do hire felons, recovering felons, ex-felons, let's just say felons, unlike the state of Texas. This entire effort is focused by a leadership team consisting of some of our nation's and our city's top business, religious, and philanthropic leaders. I sit with this leadership team, and we have analyzed the opportunities, researched the dollars available, and we are executing every day on our plan to end chronic homelessness. I want to thank Chevron and Wells Fargo for pledging significant resources to this effort. And today I'm going to challenge everyone else in this room to step up and do what is right. Let's not talk about it. Let's do it. Let's end chronic homelessness here in the city of Houston. And let's talk about diversity. And Father, I think you referred to, say, Wild and Woolly, City of Houston, and the amazing diversity. Lots of folks, lots of businesses talk about diversity being a strength. Diversity here in Houston is our strength. We attract the best and the brightest from all over the world. Houston not only cares for those who cannot care for themselves, Houston also opens our arms to change. The Houston I know is accepting, tolerant, diverse, understanding, inclusive, open-minded, and unbiased. The Houston I know does not discriminate, treats everyone equally, and allows full participation by everyone in the civic and business life of our community. We don't care where you started out in life. We don't care about the color of your skin, your age, your gender, what physical limitations you may have, or who you choose to love. And we live that every day. We do. And yet Houston is the only major city in the nation without any local civil rights protections for its residents. It's time to take a step that brings Houston into the mainstream of our peer cities, but also reflects what is the reality in Houston today. That's why this month I will send to City Council a proposed human rights ordinance. This ordinance will prohibit discrimination in city employment, in city contracting, in housing, and in public accommodations, which would include bars, restaurants, retail stores, and businesses that provide services to the public. Complaints about violations of the ordinance would be reviewed by the city's Office of Inspector General and a new 7-member board known as the Human Rights Commission. A young African-American man should not be turned away from a club on Washington Avenue. A returning veteran with a service dog should not be denied service at a local restaurant. An older woman should not be denied a job on a city contract. And yet these things do happen in the friendliest, most welcoming, most diverse city in the United States. And yes, a gay or transgendered individual should have the same rights enjoyed by all other Houstonians. Our largest employers already have these protections in their personnel policies. I hope I can count on the support of all of the companies in this room, the individuals in this room as we move forward, because my Houston does not turn its back on inequality. As you leave here today, I want you to leave here feeling optimistic about the future and excited about the present. I want you to hold Houston in your heart. I want you to have faith in our city as a city that works for today, plans for tomorrow, invests in the future, welcomes change, meets challenges, and embraces the entire world. Thank you for being a part of this great city. I appreciate your time and attention today.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Mayor Parker, for a tremendous afternoon and a great speech. We look forward to seeing all of you again at our next event, where the President and CEO of NRG Energy, David Crane, will be in Houston on April 30th. Have a great afternoon.